Third grade, this is Mrs. Whiteside, and today we are going to review points, line segments, rays, and lines. Our first vocabulary term is point. A point specifies an exact location, and a point can be shown by a number or a letter. For example, right here, I have point A, and over here I would call this point 5. A line is a group of points on a straight path that extends forever in both directions. I want to mention that a line goes on and on. There are no end points. Any 2 points on the line, however, can be used to name it. So for an example, if I look at this one right here, I know that it's a line because there are 2 arrows that tell me that this right here goes on forever and ever, and it does not ever end. I would call this line RS. I can do that by writing the word line, RS, or I write the letters RS and put a line symbol above it. A line segment. A line segment has 2 endpoints. It has a beginning and an end. And we name a line segment by its endpoints. So if I look right here, I don't have any arrows. That tells me that this is not a line, but this is a piece of a line, or a part of a line, or a segment of a line. And right here, there's a point I, a point J. So I would call this line segment IJ. I could have the 2 letters right here and put the line segment symbol above it. Now, I like to tell my class that when we get in a line to go to lunch, when we get in a line to go to resource or recess, we're actually not getting in a line because we do have an end point and a beginning point. We have a line leader, we have someone at the end, so we are actually getting in a line segment. A ray, like the sunshine. A ray begins at a certain point and it extends indefinitely or forever in one direction. And we name it at the point where it begins. For example, here is an example of a ray. It has an endpoint right here, which is the point M. The other side of it goes on forever and ever, almost like a line. And there's a point on it right here. So I would call this ray MN, or I can use the letters MN and draw the ray sign above it. Now let's do some practice. I am going to hover my spaceship right here on this picture. And I have something, a geometry example, and it has a S and a T. Take a moment to turn to a parent or a friend or a neighbor or a sibling and tell them what you think this is called. If you said this is called let's check our answer, a line segment, you are correct. If I go back and look, a line segment, remember, is a segment of a line or a piece of a line. And I could name this line segment ST, or I could write the letters ST and draw the line segment above it. Let's look at another one. Okay, take a minute and turn to someone and tell them what you think this is called. If you said this was called a point, you are correct. And I would name this by the point letter. This is point Z. Let's look at this one. I'm going to hover over it a little bit so you can see the whole thing. While I'm doing this, take a minute and turn to someone and tell them what you think this is. If you said a ray, you are correct. A ray, remember, has one end point. It begins at a point and the other side of it extends forever. Last one. If you said a line, you are correct. Remember, a line goes on forever. It has no beginning, no end. It extends in both directions, but I do need to name it. I would name this one based on the points. So I would call this line A, B. All right, let's look at another example. Let's review our terms. There we go. First example, what is this? Is this a ray, a line, or a point? You should have said a point, and I would name this point F. All right, what is this an example of? If you said a ray, you are right again. Remember, a ray right here has a beginning point, and it extends in one direction forever and ever. There is not a name on this one. There's no point name. So I'm going to name this one point N, and I'm going to call this ray N. All right, what is this an example of? If you said line, you are right again. You're doing so good. A line has no beginning and no end point. It goes on forever and ever. And what is this an example of? If you said line segment, you are right. I like to remember a line segment as a beginning and an end, a piece of a line, a part of a line, a segment of a line. All right, which of the following extends forever in both directions? I know that something that extends forever would have an arrow. So if I drew this, extends forever in both directions, I would draw something like that, which gives me a line. Now, if you have any questions on our point, our line segment, our ray, please feel free to reach out to your teacher and we will help you. We are going to be giving you a couple different resources for geometry this week, as well as your learning packet. I want to close this review video. You have probably seen this yesterday as our daily lesson, but I want to show it again, just a little piece of it again. And this is Miss Malillo showing us, using her arms, how to model each of our vocabulary terms.
The first one we talked about was a point. So I put my fist at my chest. This is a point. The next one we talked about was a line. A line does not have a beginning or an end. So I'd put my arms straight out like this, and my hands are straight. It keeps on going. Then I have a line segment. A line segment has a beginning and it has an end. So it looks like a barbell. So I'd put my hands out like this, but two fists. So it has a beginning and it has an end. The next one is a ray. A ray has a beginning, but it keeps on going. So I put my hands straight out. The next one we talked about was an angle. An angle is two lines connected by a corner. This is a right angle. This is also a right angle.
All right. I love using our hands to show us the line, the ray, the point, the line segment. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your teachers. We miss you so very much. Have a great day.